Oh, hello. Today we are doing my mid-month check-in for September 2022. It's been a pretty productive, good reading month so far. Some highs, some lows, but some definite wins along the way overall. I feel like I'm making good progress on some of my planning and reading some good books, which is really what it's all about, right? So I cannot talk to you guys about some of the things that I've been reading, or at least I can't talk about them in detail. So I will just mention that these 4 books you should see in my next video because they were in a secret TBR vlog. Here's a preview of what's in there. I'll talk more about these at the end of the month, but I'll say Splendid City, not my favorite, you'll see why. And then When I'm Gone, Look for Me in the East, I enjoyed, didn't like quite as much as We Ride Upon Sticks, but still good. So you'll see all 4 of those in that vlog when it comes out. I did also finish the Inheritance Game trilogy. I read The Hawthorne Legacy and The Final Gambit because this came out in August and I'd been waiting to read both of these back to back. And I'll talk more about them at the end of the month. Not as good as I was hoping, sadly. So not terrible. We'll talk more about it, but not my favorite from JLB. And you know I love JLB. I'll give you more thoughts at the end of the month because this is a part of my Nora Roberts reading challenge, so I'll include that in my summary. But this bind-up had 2 DNFs for me in them, so that, you know, was not my favorite. It was Mind Over Matter and Lawless. So not the best, not the worst, but not the best. Another one that you can see thoughts on TikTok. I am so behind on posting there. I need to get my act together and do it. TikTok keeps like fighting me when I'm editing the videos and I just got angry and gave up for a minute there, but I will get back on it. I'm doing a chapter by chapter recap of Babel. I have finished it. Spoilers, really loved it. I think I update my Goodreads rating because I was like, I can't tell if I just am loving this because I'm filming these videos and I'm thinking about it a lot and talking about it a lot, but I took a break because of my anger at TikTok and I'm still just like, oh, this book is so good. So I think this is gonna get bumped up in my rating. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you want a preview of my thoughts, like I said, I'm doing spoiler-filled chapter by chapter recaps over on TikTok. So stay tuned for more at the end of the month. I think those are all the ones I can't get into my full thoughts on. Things that I can get into my full thoughts on. So I've read 3 arcs that I can talk to you about. So first I read Raven Unveiled by Grace Draven, which I liked. I always like Grace Draven's writing. She's just a good technician of a fantasy romance. I enjoy them. Oh my gosh, taking a sip of boba tea in the middle of that. Such a mistake because you have to sit here and chew the pearls. Yes, I did enjoy it. It was good. I don't know. The dynamics in this particular one were just so aggressive in terms of a true hate to love. And this is why I don't like a true hate to love, because I just don't, I mean, I get where, so, okay, anyway, I feel like I'm being very incoherent about this. Just let me focus. So this is the 3rd book in the Fallen Empire fantasy romance series. It's a cool setup. Basically, the first book is when this empire crumbles and sort of like the evil queen, the evil magical queen who's been in charge of the empire is taken down. And so the books are basically sort of the fallout from that. They're romances, so obviously each book is following a different couple. We get to see some of the previous couples and characters we've met in this book, so I enjoyed that part. And the setup for this one is basically our heroine is a shade talker, so she can talk to ghosts, which is a very like maligned magic in this particular world. And she was under the protection of one of the evil queen's like head enforcers. He, you know, he's in that position for complicated reasons. So if you like a like villain romance, like where the villain is reformed or whatever, you know, this would be a good one. But basically she did something and she did it to save him and his daughter. That's the whole reason why he stays with this queen, is because like he's trying to protect his daughter, and she does something, he feels like it's a betrayal. After the empire falls, he's like tracking her down because he wants to kill her. So that's the setup. I just felt like he was so combative towards her, understandably. Like, it's not that I didn't buy any of the setups. I just personally, it's not my trope combo. Like, it's just too, I don't know. I know some people really like that amount of tension and that real journey that the hero and heroine go on to get to their happily ever after. I did believe like that journey in terms of, I think she conveyed it well. Like, I believed, you know, I understood his motivations. I understood hers. I understood how they like theoretically were able to overcome that. Also, Hastings is doing his, you know, daily tripod rub. So if you see me shaking, that is why. Oh my gosh, bud, you're just making my life hard. So like, it's not that I had problems with any of it on paper. It just doesn't speak to me. So I just didn't love it, I guess, is kind of just the bottom line. But if you like the series, I think you'll, enjoy it. I love Grace Draven, so not bad, just not Mara's personal, like, combination of tropes. And let's see, another arc I read was A Sliver of Darkness by C.J. Tudor. This is a short story collection. It sounds like there's like an introduction from C.J. Tudor with kind of an explanation of why this short story collection is coming out instead of the full novel. Her next full novel comes out in January, and it's an isolation trope, like a isolated close circle thriller. Cannot wait for that. But anyway, she basically is talking about like, hey, I was really far down the path on this one book, and we all just looked at each other and were like, this isn't working. We didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So we all, the idea came up of like, hey, these short stories I've written over the years, maybe let's just do a collection of that to tide people over until the next novel, which I appreciated that. I thought that was a cool idea. And, as with most short story collections, there's like varying degrees of success. I feel like in this collection, there's some that are definitely more developed and some that are more successful than others. But I thought one thing that was really cool about this collection is that in front of every story, she writes like a little introduction about where and why she wrote the story, like what was happening in her life, like what the inspiration for the story was. So I thought that was really neat. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun, like if you're looking for sort of a true genre, I would say these were really like horror stories, like horror short stories for the most part. If you're looking for something that's not trying to be a literary short story, but like true, just like maybe kind of in the vein of Stephen King. Hey, this is a genre short story collection. I feel like sometimes we don't get a lot of those, and I appreciated that this was what that was. Let's see, favorite story probably was the one, I think it was called Lion at the Gate, and it's with this graffiti lion animal that might be alive and evil. So I thought that one was really fun. Yeah, I thought it was a really fun collection, and yeah, if you're into short stories and you like the idea of reading something that's like horror from her, I say give it a try. I thought it was enjoyable. And then the last arc I've read so far this month was In Her Highlanders Bed by Lindsay Sands. This is my first 2023 arc that I've read. I usually cannot hold myself back. If I get an early copy of a Lindsay Sands, I can't stop myself from reading it. So no different this year. This comes out in January, and it is the latest in her Highlander Bride series, which you guys know is one of my all-time favorites. I really just love the way she does these very goofy Scottish medieval romances. Like, they don't take themselves too seriously. They always have a murder mystery sort of plot engine. Both of our main characters are always kind of stupid, but like in a lovable way. It's people getting it on in the locks. Like, I just like this. This particular one, definitely trigger warning for described but off-page attempted essay and domestic violence. Like, it's kind of intense. The setup basically is that our heroine was kidnapped. It's a continuation from last year's book. So the heroine was kidnapped because this dude is trying to take over her father's land, and he's trying to force a marriage with one of the sisters in this family. So he kidnaps her. He attempts to essay her to, like make her his forever. She escapes through machinations, and our hero finds her. And a lot of this book is them just like recovering from that. They both have injuries. They're both recovering. Yeah, so this one was more character and romance focused than some of them have been. And I actually like that. I think for the pacing of the series overall, that was a good choice. And I like the characters. I don't think that this was one of like the best in the series, but I really like these books, and I felt like it delivered what I like about these books. So yeah, it was definitely just a comfort read that I enjoyed. And now I have to, the problem is that I can't hold myself back from reading them. And then I have to wait another year to get another one because I just like them. It's so good. So those were the arcs. And then is there anything else I've read that I can already talk to you guys about? Sorry, I'm looking at the spreadsheet where I increased it to 200% over yonder so that I could read it. Oh, okay, yeah, Dragon Keeper. So me and Leanna are continuing our Realm of the Elderlings read through. This one is the first in the Rainwild Chronicles. And so this is the fourth sub-series of the overall Realm of the Elderlings, which has 5 sub-series in it, so we're on number 4. This is the first book in that, and I have heard all along, like, okay, Rainwild Chronicles is not her best, but you just kind of got to get through it. If you're reading for Fitz and the Fool, and you did not like the live ship traders setup, I could see why this would be a letdown. But I'm really intrigued by this. Both me and Leanna were sort of like, I don't know why everyone has such a problem with this. Like, there's a lot of interesting setup going on. So basically we're joining back kind of with the Bingtown part of the world and the Rainwilds, and Tintaglia, who is the only remaining dragon, is kind of overseeing this attempt to create more dragons. Well, I just almost said something. I guess that would be spoilers. So, okay, anyway, I won't say more, but basically we're trying to get more dragons. Let's just put it that way. And it says Dragon Keeper, so I feel like, you know, you kind of got to know that that's a part of it. So that is sort of the bigger picture plot. Our main characters are Thymera, who is the titular Dragon Keeper. She's one of them, and she's from the Rainwilds, and she's bonding with some of these dragons. Like, that's part of it. The other piece of it, or the other main character, I should say, like, or where it felt like the book's kind of main energy was with this new character named Elise, who is from Bingtown and who is like obsessed with dragons and is going on this quest. So I will say that we do get some of the characters from Live Ship. So like, you get some cameos from characters we know. It is a pretty much new cast, so just know that. But I'm really interested in all the things that got set up in this. I am almost like 100% sure that this book and the next one must have originally been one book, because this ends so abruptly. Like, it's as if it was like, okay, we're trying to have however many pages in here, 553 pages and no more. So I guess you're done. Let's start a new book. It definitely ends like in action. So I'm excited to keep reading. Me and Leanna are going to finish this series this year. So we're going to read a book a month for the rest of the year. So I'll be reading the next one next month. And yeah, I mean, I would give this like somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4. I really enjoyed this and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. So I guess I have a kind of like unpopular or minority opinion on this one, but I'm enjoying this. So watch this space. Maybe something, you know, really goes off track later in the series. But so far, I'm intrigued, excited to keep going. I almost forgot the last one I can tell you about, which is The Good Luck Girls by Charlotte Nicole Davis. So I have this on my 5-star prediction list, and I did not give it 5 stars, so failed in that. But I did give it 4 stars because I really did enjoy this. Not sure if I'll keep going. I know there's at least one more book because I kind of liked where this book left off. But this is a brutal AF setup. Basically, we have a fantasy Western world, and these girls from kind of the underclass of this version of, I think, America-ish, basically have very few options. And one of the things that can happen is that they get sent to basically these brothels where they are enslaved house workers until they turn 16. And then they have their like selling of their first night, and then they become sex workers from that point on. We open with one of those nights. So all the content warnings for this, but I felt like that was dark and a lot. It does get going after that though. This is an incredibly action-packed book. Basically, it's with our 5 main characters. It's sort of like a girl gang kind of vibe. They escape the welcome house that they were at and go on the run to try to get to this group of ghost women who are supposed to be able to remove essentially they have like these kind of like mystical tattooing on them that mark them as good luck girls, and they're trying to get to these ghost ladies to get that marking taken off, and it's their travails along the way. So very dark setup, but I think executed really well. I think this is an example where I noticed something as a pattern in the plot that then bugged me throughout the book. And I don't want to tell you what it is because I think if you hadn't noticed it, if you didn't notice it, then you would enjoy this even more than I did. But I kept waiting for that to happen, and then it kept happening, and I was like, okay, mix it up a little bit. But other than that, I actually really, really enjoyed this, and I think it's really well written. I think it's got some really interesting themes around class, sex work, gender, all of that. Like, this is definitely really worth reading. I would say it's definitely a heavier version of YA, so just know that in terms of if you're gonna get it for an actual young reader. It has some pretty heavy themes in it, but I think it's really well executed and has some really thought-provoking stuff in it around a lot of different topics. So yeah, I definitely really enjoyed this. Okay. And then, oh, hey Hastings. In terms of like what I'm currently reading, I don't think, the only thing I'm currently reading technically is I'm in the middle of a book from Scribd called Witches, Women, good God, okay. Witches, Witch Hunting, and Women by Sylvia Frederici. I'm trying this author, sorry, I'm very distracted because Hastings is like rubbing his little face on my back. You're such a sweet boy. He's just a little attention whore. I'm reading this because of a recommendation video I saw from John the Duncan. I hauled a couple of books books from that recommendation video last month, and there's one from this author on that list, and I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to read a full book, but I saw there was a smaller, like more, basically this is sort of the more approachable version of that book, and it's basically about the connection between witch hunting and capitalism. So it's interesting, but I guess technically that's really the only thing I'm currently reading. What I might read next. While we're in Scribd, let's take a look, because Scribd bumped its prices up and I was just like, I just don't think I'm gonna keep this. I think I will come back to Scribd as I have things I'm particularly wanting to read, but I just don't think I'm gonna keep the open subscription going for right now, because I think it was like a $3 or $4 price increase per month, and I was like, come on now. So things that I could choose to read, I'm going to try to prioritize readings, like listening to some audiobooks for the rest of the month, kind of whenever I have, you know, moments to do that. How We Get Free, Black Feminism, and the Combahee River Collective by Kianga Yamahata Taylor. That is one I might do. Locking Up Our Own, Crime and Punishment in Black America by James Foreman. Let Them Eat Tweets, How the Right Rules in an Age of Extreme Inequality by Jacob Hacker and Paul Pearson. How to Argue with a Racist, What Our Genes Do and Don't Say About Human Difference by Adam Rutherford. That sounded interesting to me. Oh yeah, Lurking, How a Person Became a User by Joanne McNeil. This is basically about the commodification of our online presence and online content creation, which I just think that sounds interesting. White Evangelical Racism, The Politics of Morality in America. The Making of Asian America, A History by Erica Lee. Though actually, I just saw that they got this at the library, so I can take that off. Oh goodness, what else? Uneasy Street, The Anxieties of Affluence by Rachel Sherman. Can you tell I just like have so many of these? What else? Black Tudors, The Untold Story by Miranda Kaufman, which is about Black people during the Tudor era in England. Oh, More Than Two, A Practical Guide to Ethical Polyamory by Franklin Vo. I'm not polyamorous, but I don't really know much about ethical polyamory. I've only seen it done highly problematically or unethically, so I thought that sounded interesting. I heard somebody who was polyamorous recommending that the other day. Oh yeah, A Most Peculiar Book, The Inherent Strangeness of the Bible. One of you guys recommended that to me by Kristen Swinson. Oh, I do want to read that one. Oh man, okay. And then I guess the last one I'll mention is Crippled, Austerity and Demonization of Disabled People by Frances Ryan. That was another recommendation from John the Duncan, and that's specifically about austerity in England, like during the Thatcher years and onwards, and how that has impacted disabled people. So anyway, I just kind of ran through that really quickly. Who knows how many of these I will get to, and you know, I'll deactivate. I'm sure I'll come back to Scribd at some point and listen to more of these, but we'll see how many I can get through in the meantime. 2 new releases that I might get to. I hope I do get to Desperation in Death by J.D. Robb. This is the latest in the In Death series, which you guys know I love. And then Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. This is a middle grade fantasy series that I really enjoyed the first one. So, you know, 2 new releases that I may get to. I do have a really fun project that I'm working on right now, which is I had you guys do sort of like a bracket style tournament to pick my TBR based on recommendations from my patrons and my members. 2 of the books are secret because they were done in my Patreon and on my channel membership, so I'll keep those a secret. But the 2 that were public, that Instagram and YouTube community tab voted on, were The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, which is a thriller. I really like Ruth Ware, so I'm expecting that I'll do pretty well with this. And then interesting results over on Instagram. Ultimately, The Bear and the Nightingale prevailed. So I have that as audio. Ooh, though I just realized with all of this Scribd audio, I'm not sure if I'm gonna want to do that. I also, I believe, have it as an ebook. I don't know, we'll see. But those are 2 of the books in a 4-book vlogging project that will be coming hopefully before the end of the month, but maybe into October, we'll see. So there's that. God, what else? What else am I gonna read? Well, oh, there was a new Ice Home series that came out from Ruby Dixon, so I'll probably try to get to that. And then, you know, I have like several ideas for October of different video ideas. I know I'm gonna do at least a week of Blackoweenathon, and then I think I'm also gonna do Weekend Ween with Olivia Reads a Latte and Gabby Reads. I think those are the 2 hosts for that. So I'm gonna do a week of Blackoweenathon, which my friend Brie from The Locked Booktician I feel like she's sort of the main instigator, but there's a bunch of people who are involved in that. And then, yeah, so those are two things I know I want to do for October. So I definitely have some TBR ideas for that. Another TBR idea I have, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this, is related to monster romances. So I may try to get to some monster romances that I have saved on Kindle Unlimited and on my e-reader. So that may also happen. But yeah, I think, goodness, I feel like I've been talking and yet haven't said much. Hopefully this came together okay. I think that's pretty much what I've read and what I'm going to read next for this month. Definitely let me know what you thought about any of the books that I talked about. If you've got any thoughts or recommendations, suggestions, how your September reading is going, etc. Leave that in the comments below. And yeah, I think that will do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!